What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the mistakes that Star Wars Squadrons cannot make. So we're getting closer to the release of this game. We're actually getting closer to the release of a lot of games. I'm going to be talking about a lot of them more often on the channel. This is kind of the start of my Star Wars Squadrons video series, and there'll be many more videos on Star Wars Squadrons over the next 2.5 weeks leading into it releasing, in which I will cover it even more. Okay, so this is not meant to be a negative video. This is not meant to be me digging into it. I'm getting this game day one. I know I started off actually very not on board with this game. I've gotten there. I think I've 180'd myself. I'm excited for it. I'm pumped for it. But at the same time, there's absolutely things this game can mess up on. We got to remember it's EA as well. And so I think we need to talk about those things, and we'll start there. So first thing that this game cannot make this mistake on is with the story, having it be lackluster, having it feel literally like it was tacked on. And so, those words kind of speak for themselves. Look, I get that this is a $40 game. I get that this is not meant to be the big, this is not the story of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which even that story I could see with like an extra maybe year of development. And in fact, they've almost admitted as much. They could have added so much more. So I like the story of Jedi Fallen Order. The ending was a little bit, it was kind of anticlimactic, but it was still overall, I think, a really, really good game. Nobody's expecting this to be that. Nobody's, in my opinion, I'm not even expecting it to be Star Wars Battlefront 2. Maybe a comparable would be Star Wars Battlefront 2. In all honesty, for me, I'm not even setting expectations on the story because I kind of don't want to be let down. We know it's going to be short. We know it's going to be a short thing. We know, in my opinion, it's probably, and I wouldn't, it's not going to be literally this, but it's probably going to be closer to a tutorial for the multiplayer than it is, an actual engrossing story. That's, again, not to, put it down. I like all the cameos that we've seen so far. I think they can do some, honestly, really amazing things with the story. At the same time, I'm just not expecting much, and that's, in my opinion, that's kind of actually a problem. So, as a game, a mistake, again, they cannot make is having it just be tacked on. A couple hours, now again, we know it's going to be a couple hours, but a couple hours of doing nothing is worse than a couple hours of doing something. So overall, I hope that the story can be, just this fun little thing, fun little adventure, adds to the Star Wars, lore, the mythology, and then can get, and at the same time, I do get it, can get us into this franchise and this game where we're learning how to do, the controls of all these ships. And with that being in mind, and that kind of goes into the next thing, the second thing it cannot do is be overly difficult to the point that it's eliminating a lot of people. And now, again, here's the deal, and this one is tough. This one is not, if it comes out and it's like the hardest game we've ever played in our lives, I wouldn't like hold it massively against it. At the same time, it's a cheaper game. It's $40, and it's a game that, yes, and by the way, because I like it. I like the fact that it's supposed to be difficult. I like the fact that there are all of these different learning, like things you have to do on your ship. Look, the people that played the preview, remember when this game was previewed like a month and a half ago? People sucked. Like nobody that I watched, at least, and I actually watched several, Star Wars YouTubers like the Ozzy Jedi and the Star Bazaar, whoever, a bunch of them. A lot of people that covered Battlefront 2, they basically all got to play Star Wars Squadrons, and pretty much none of them were good at the game. So, there is something captivating about that. That is a good thing. And with that being said, again, when I say it, not too hard, maybe I shouldn't have even said it like that. Have it be a learning curve, but don't make it be impossible. Do you know what I mean? As long as if you put enough time into this game and you're able to, practice it and get better at it, you will be good. As long as that happens with this game, which, granted, isn't that kind of the case, with anything? If you do it enough times or you practice enough, you are eventually going to get better at it. As long as the entry into this game is not overly, awful, I think that they would be okay. But you do have to think about it because, look, the game, and because this also goes into EA and how much they want money-wise, how many units they want sold. The game's cheaper. Again, it's $20 less than a full-price game. They're probably expecting this game to do pretty darn well. If only diehards get this game, or even if people get the game and then they kind of piece out of it, that's also not a good thing. And we can talk about that next because I think that's probably, for a game like this, the biggest thing with it is you need a user base. If the game is too difficult and people are maybe waiting on it, maybe they got Crash instead because Crash releases the same day. October is a very busy month. Maybe they wait until Black Friday to get Star Wars Squadrons, but they hear like, oh my God, like unless you're going to play this game nonstop, you're just not going to be good at it. No, you know what I mean? It's kind of like From Software games, I think, are a little bit different than that. They kind of like draw you in like that. This is a game that I think is already for a different kind of audience because it's a space game, just a complete space piloting game. It's already going to be a little harder to sell this game than other Star Wars. Not saying it's impossible. That's actually a pretty cool like medium in the Star Wars world to sell people on and say, hey, you can't really do this in any other game, or you can do it in like parts of other games. Again, like Battlefront 2, you could fly. There's obviously those kind of things, but in this, it's like the full deal, right? But at the same time, if it's too difficult, they're going to have some problems. Again, that's the going into the next thing. Supporting this game, or at least having enough content in this game. See, when the game was first announced, the thing that worried me about it, like literally the first time EA showed this thing, was the fact that I didn't think it looked all that good. Maybe it was my computer, maybe it was the stream, maybe it was whatever. Like the VR aspect of it, I'm excited for. I think the game is going to probably look fine. I'm not gonna like hamper on that. But one of the things is the modes need to be different enough, and they need to be fulfilling. This is the biggest problem with. You look at even Battlefront 2. People stopped playing any kind of any flight mode that they had in that game. People stopped very, very early. Now they weren't really patched. They weren't really changed. There weren't really any variation to it. So and that was kind of by design, right? Because that team that actually made it, they went on to make this. So they weren't working and constantly updating Battlefront 2 because they were working on a brand new thing. So I get it, but at the same time, again, for a game like this, it's kind of important to keep it going. Any multiplayer game, I would say, for the most part, you want to firstly make sure that it has enough stuff in it that's going to keep people going for a while. But also, if you want it to last longer than a month or 2 months, you're probably going to have to add on to it even more. And I think that's fair. And I think with EA, granted, they did a pretty okay job with Battlefront 2. They were very willing to for the most part, they're very weird at the end, pulling dice away from Battlefront 2. Literally, it seemed like people there went into work one day, went into work the next day, and they were told, okay, you're done working on this game now. So that was very odd. But for the most part, obviously, the stuff that they were able to add to Battlefront 2 over the many years, they did a pretty, I'd say, awesome job. Star Wars Squadrons, do I expect that kind of, thing to it? No. And that kind of goes to the final thing. Same thing with the story and not making it some kind of cheap add-on. Don't make Star Wars Squadrons a cheap add-on. Not saying anything against the team that's making the game, but look, for the third time in this video that I've said it, in case you guys forgot, the game is not full price, and that's fine, and that's good. In fact, that's helping me even, because like, all right, you look at me, there's a lot of games coming out in October. If this game is full price, Crash is full price, I'm getting like Little Hope, I'm getting Watch Dogs, I'm getting all these games. That's a lot of money. And then there's next gen, and we're in the middle of kind of an event, in the world that's a little bit difficult for people, just in general. So I get it. People aren't able to spend. I get $40 is pretty appealing to them. Hopefully EA is not taking that as quick way to make a buck. We're going to give them a 2-hour story. We're going to give them a multiplayer that's barely filled in. There's just not enough to do. We're going to get our money in October and November. We're going to make that Black Friday sales, and then we're going to pull the team off of it. We don't need you supporting it. The game will die on its own, and we'll let the game go. And at when that happens, we'll be playing this game for like 2-3 months, and then it'll be over. And to me, that'll be okay. To people that are Star Wars fans, to people that played Battlefront 2, and even I did that. I jumped in and out of Battlefront 2, but some people played Battlefront 2 consistently for years. I assume they probably want to do the same thing with Star Wars Squadrons. Hopefully EA is aware of that, and that's kind of, in their mindset where it's like, we're not going to just make a quick buck off of this, and just because it's $40, because again, because it's $40, they could say, well, you would expect a less, polished product, like the product isn't going to be as good as maybe a $60. Not necessarily true, more like, for me, it's about how much is in the game, I guess, at that rate, especially from a top tier tier, I could call them that, right? Because they're very expensive. They have a lot of money. I mean, for $60 games, you expect a certain kind of product for, anything. For a $40, you would expect a different kind of thing. For somebody like EA, the only reason it'd be $40, for my opinion, is that it's just not, it doesn't have as much stuff in it as a $60. I don't want PS3 era graphics. I don't want, you know what I mean? And I also don't want literally nothing in the game besides like 2 things, but they may take it that way. And so we'll have to obviously monitor it. I mean, this is a game that I think is very in the middle. It could go either way. It could come out and it could just be, honestly, a train wreck, and you may have some people defending it because it's Star Wars, but overall, people are like, okay, well, just look at it, though. It's awful. At the same time, it could come out and you could say, you know what? It's a bit more of like a niche thing. Like, not everybody's gonna like actually like it, but it's actually really, really good. And like, I'm surprised that something like this exists. I'm hoping, and I think those are probably the only 2 things that could happen. I really do hope it's the second one. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What are some things that you think this game absolutely cannot do? Are you guys getting this game day one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, podcast now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And like I said, I want to make more Squadrons videos. The game comes out in 2.5 weeks, so we're getting very, very close. If you guys have any suggestions for me, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all on the next video.